So we ended our visit to Olympic National Park with a bang by hiking up the steep Mount Storm King Trail. And we started off our trip to Rainier National Park with a bang by hiking up the Eagle Peak Trail to this amazing viewpoint. As you can tell from my very lovely head net, the bugs are atrocious. Bad enough that we busted these out. And that's saying a lot because, yeah, we typically avoid them. But we ended up at this fantastic viewpoint of the mountain. You can also see 3 other volcanoes from where we are. There's some people at the viewpoint though, so I'm probably not going to be able to capture them. But we think we can see Mount Adams, Mount St. Helens, and off in the distance, Mount Hood. The hike to get up to this viewpoint was about 3.7 miles. And the first 3 miles were not too bad. They were strenuous, but they were like about 700 foot a mile climbing. So pretty steady, just kind of straight up over pretty smooth terrain. And then we exited the forest into like our first alpine meadow area. And at that point, the trail started climbing very steeply. So it was pretty atrocious. The bugs were bad. The climb was bad. But then we popped up onto this saddle and definitely feel like it was all worth it. So the Eagle Peak Trail is a 7.2 mile out and back that leaves from the Longmire area of the park. The first 3 miles are fairly wooded and smooth, a lot like what you're seeing right now. We went up very steadily, about 700 feet a mile for the first 3 miles. And there really weren't too many rocky or rooty sections, just lots of pretty nice smooth trail. And then the last 3/4 of a mile, half mile to 3/4 of a mile, you gain another 700 to 800 feet. And that gets a lot steeper. You'll exit out into an alpine meadow area. You do go back into the forest intermittently, but really it's just a pretty steep slog. At the top, you've got amazing views of tons of mountains, especially on a clear day. So we're hanging out in Mount Rainier National Park for the next 4 nights. And my goodness, is this visit teaching us a lot about how much the parks are getting overrun with people. I mean, I don't know what to say because we're also part of the people who are here. And I feel like everyone else deserves these opportunities just as much as we do. But man, it's crowded. We got here really early because we didn't want to have to wait in a long line for entry, and we were able to get a really great parking spot and do an awesome hike up Eagle Peak. And then we went to our campsite and took a super long nap. We knew we were going to want to be out tonight enjoying what we think is going to be a nice sunset. So we packed up camp and headed up to the Paradise area. Got up there around 5, and we thought like, oh, maybe, it'll be starting to die down. But it was just, there must have been thousands of people up there. It was 1,000 at least. It was more, hundreds doesn't seem like enough. And it was just overwhelming. So we are further down the road, just trying to find some peaceful spots and enjoy the views without as many crowds. Thankfully, we've done most of the hiking we need to do up there, so we can probably find quieter times to do it. But Even here you can see and hear the traffic that's passing me. At this exact moment in time, we are parked alone on a small spot on the side of the road, and we have an awesome view of the mountain, and I can't really complain about that. Good morning. We are on our second day of hiking in Mount Rainier National Park, and today we are piecing together a loop and an out and back. We're hiking out of Longmire up on the Wonderland Trail, and now we're on the Van Trump Trail, and then we're going to head back and take the Rampart Ridge Trail back to the Longmire area. We have hiked up to this destination called Comet Falls and Van Trump Park before from the other direction. And so we're coming this way to meet up with our steps. It is a steep climb, go figure. We're looking at about 3,500 to 4,000 feet of elevation gain today. I'm looking at about 11 or 12 miles. I think we're also going to pick up a nature trail near Longmire at the end of the hike. So definitely thankful that we have our trail legs, but it's like at some point uphill is just so hard that we're still dragging a bit. We made it to the furthest point of our destination of our hike, the end of the Van Trump Trail. And now we're doing a side trip up to Mildred Point. The phrase side trip suggests something easy and nice. And while this is certainly beautiful, it is nothing like easy. It's about 450 feet of climbing in 0.4 miles, we think. So that's why I'm so sweaty. Super cool thing though. On our hike today, we met somebody who's hiked every trail in Mount Rainier. And it was so fun to get to talk to him for a few minutes. He just like understood what we're doing right away, even down to like figuring out what counts and doesn't. And it was just like an instant kindred spirit. So congratulations to Sean, who has already finished this park. Okay, let's go. Well, we made it down from Mildred Point. It was beautiful, steep, basically everything that we have come to know about Rainier. We are now back down to the Van Trump Trail and heading downhill. We have about 3 miles on this, and then we will turn off and head back to our car a slightly different way than we came. We're going to continue on the Wonderland for just a little bit, and then we're picking up what I think is called the Rampart Ridge Trail. This whole area down below us is called Rampart Ridge, so I think people talk about the whole area with that name, but I think we'll actually be on the official Rampart Ridge Trail. We're finishing our hike for the day with a quick loop around the Trail of the Shadows nature trail. Just trying to make these miles official for me. Kelly actually has already done them. One winter trip, he came up to the park without me and he hiked this in the snow, so he gets double credit for these miles. We are just over 13 miles for the day and over 4,000 feet of elevation, so we are calling that a win. We're gonna go check into the Wilderness Center and get our backpacking permit. Tomorrow we're heading out for 2 nights of hiking and backpacking. We're heading out to Lake George and then Clapatchie Park. Lots of names we don't quite know how to pronounce around here. It's kind of interesting how like routine backpacking has become. I think last year, the first time we were headed out for our first 2-night trip, we were just like so ramped up and nervous about it. And then we did it and it was fine. And then we did another one and then we backpacked again and again and again. And it's just kind of nice to see how far we've come in about a year to where like we don't even think about talking about the fact that we're backpacking, because it's what we do every week. So later on today, we will gather our gear for that and pack everything up. And then hopefully we'll head out for another pretty sunset tonight. We learned our lesson from last night and came up to the Paradise area a lot later in the day. We got here around 7, and a lot of the crowds have died down. There's still people everywhere, but there's parking and it's fine. It's a beautiful place. People should be here enjoying it. So we're just strolling a little bit. We had a big day, so we don't need to get any more miles. We have our sandals on, but this is one of our favorite places in the park, so we wanted to at least see it while we were here. And since tomorrow we're heading out into the backcountry, I don't think we'll have another chance to come back on this trip. So this is the lovely Paradise area. Highly recommend. Just make sure you either get here early in the morning or plan to spend your evening here, maybe arriving around 6 o'clock so you can get in a short hike. Even like we did, arriving at 7 would get you a chance to hike to Myrtle Falls and just stroll around the meadows that are here.